All right. If you were knee-deep in flashcards right now, cramming for that real estate exam, you definitely know the biggest hurdle isn't just memorizing terms. It's understanding the legal lines between them, right? The exam loves those tricky gray areas, and that's exactly why we're here. To give you a bit of a shortcut through some of those really complex legal ideas, today we're diving into one of the slipperiest concepts, something agents might say every day, but it has huge legal weight on the test. Welcome to the Real Estate Exam Deep Dive by Exam Scholar Real Estate Edition. Our mission today, really nail the difference between legal sales talk, puffing, and actual illegal fraud.
Absolutely. It's so foundational because, well, this difference, it touches everything. Advertising, negotiations, agents puff all the time, maybe without even thinking about it. But knowing exactly where enthusiasm stops and legal trouble starts, that's crucial for those exam scenarios.
Okay, let's unpack this term before we get into the legal stuff.
Yeah.
How is puffing usually defined? Like, in simple terms, what is it?
Fundamentally, puffing is an exaggeration of a fact, really.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as promotional hype. You see it in ads all the time, or you hear it from salespeople talking up the quality or, the appeal of whatever they're selling.
Yeah, we've all heard it. I mean, the classic example, right? You're standing in a totally average backyard, and the agent throws their arms out wide and says, "Man, look at this amazing park-like oasis, most private yard in the whole neighborhood."
Exactly. That is textbook puffing, total hyperbole to make the place sound, well, better than it objectively might be. And the sources are clear here. The agent isn't necessarily committing fraud because they're using subjective language, stuff you can't easily measure. The intent is usually just, create some excitement, make the sale happen through sheer enthusiasm.
So the main tool is exaggeration. The goal is the sale. But I kind of like that the sources acknowledge that sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe the agent actually believes it. Like maybe it really is the most beautiful yard they've personally ever seen in their, limited experience.
That's possible, yeah. But for the exam, the agent's personal belief isn't really the point. It's about how a reasonable buyer would interpret the statement. It's not about whether the agent is lying to themselves. It's whether they're making a claim that a buyer would reasonably think is a binding fact, something they can rely on.
Okay, this brings us right to the core legal issue then. If it's so close to lying, why isn't it just illegal? What's the legal shield here?
Right, and this is where understanding the why separates folks who pass from those who just memorized a term. The key distinction is the nature of the statement itself. Legally, puffing is treated more like an opinion, not a verifiable fact, and that idea goes way back. The law basically puts some responsibility on the buyer, caveat emptor, buyer beware to some extent. When an agent says a house is the most charming place on the block, the law kind of assumes the buyer, this reasonable person, can judge charm for themselves.
The reasonable person standard. That pops up everywhere in law, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Crucial for the exam. So if the agent says, "Wow, this house has the most incredible view in the entire state," that's subjective. It's opinion, non-binding.
Precisely, because it's opinion something you can look at and, frankly, disagree with. It's typically not considered binding in a contract dispute. That lack of binding status, that's the critical takeaway for the exam. The law assumes you're using common sense when you hear those kinds of claims.
Okay, but the instant the agent says something you can prove or disprove, that changes everything.
Right. Can you give us a clear contrast? Opinion versus verifiable fact.
Sure.
Passing the real estate exam can be hard, like really hard. Statistically, only about 50% of people actually pass the real estate exam on their first try. Those people that pass, they go on to become real estate agents. And the people that didn't pass, they either give up completely or have to try again. Both of these options are painful, disappointing, and upsetting. Exam Scholar Real Estate Edition has been named as the best real estate exam prep by multiple publications for 7 years in a row. If you are about to take the real estate exam, Exam Scholar Real Estate Edition is a no-brainer choice. There is no other real estate exam preparation service out there that comes close. To enjoy the longest membership time, lowest cost, real estate videos, audios, articles, flashcards, vocabulary, exam tips and tricks, a 1-year no questions asked refund policy, and be one of the 35,000 people that it has helped pass the real estate exam, then sign up in less than 5 minutes at www.realestateexamscholar.com.
Two statements. Statement 1, opinion. Man, the structure here is rock solid. Statement 2, fact. The foundation was poured exactly 5 years ago on July 14th. See the difference?
Yeah, totally. One's a feeling about quality, the other is a specific checkable date. If that foundation is actually 50 years old, the second statement is just false. Exactly. Now, to get from just being false to being actual misrepresentation or even fraud, you need a couple more ingredients, materiality and intentionality.
Okay, let's break those down. Those sound like the difference between oops, my bad, and see you in court. What makes a fact material?
Good question. A material fact is basically any piece of info that would likely influence a reasonable person's decision, either deciding to buy or how much they pay. Things like the age of the roof, the square footage, whether the basement floods, known zoning issues, those are material. But claiming the kitchen countertops are the trendiest color this year? Probably not material. It doesn't affect the property's core function or value in a legal sense.
Got it. That really helps frame those exam scenarios. So puffing, like saying the neighborhood has just the best schools, that's opinion. Maybe exaggerated, but likely non-material, the legal sense of the word itself. But if the agent says the school district is officially rated A+O, when they know it's rated D, well, now we're potentially crossing a line because school quality is often very material to buyers, right?
Absolutely. And now you layer on that second ingredient, intentionality. That's what really separates simple misrepresentation from outright fraud.
Okay.
So simple misrepresentation. That happens when an agent makes a false statement about a material fact, but maybe they genuinely didn't know it was false. They relied on bad info, perhaps. It's still a problem legally, but it lacks the deliberate deception.
Okay, makes sense. And fraud, though.
Fraud needs that intent. It's a false statement about a material fact known by the agent to be false, made specifically to trick the buyer, and the buyer relies on that lie and suffers harm because of it.
Whoa, that's the big one. So if the agent insisted the wiring was totally updated last year, but they knew, maybe they saw the inspection report showing old knob and tube wiring that's not puffing, that's intentional material misrepresentation, that's illegal.
Correct. They've actively lied about something crucial, the electrical system, knowing it's central to the property's safety and value, and knowing the buyer would likely rely on that claim. Look, everyone expects an agent to be enthusiastic, right? You take gorgeous views with a grain of salt. But you should be able to rely on statements about verifiable facts like the age of the HVAC or the property boundaries.
So this whole distinction is really key for your exam strategy. When you get one of those scenario questions, you got to break down the agent statement. Ask yourself, 1, is it subjective opinion or a verifiable fact? 2, is that fact material to the deal? And 3, was their intent to deceive?
Yep. If the answer to number 1 is opinion, you're likely looking at puffing. If the answers are verifiable fact, yes, it's material, and yes, there was intent, well, then you're probably dealing with fraud. That framework is your lifesaver on the test.
Okay, so wrapping this up for you, the listener, understanding puffing is absolutely essential. It's how you tell the difference between legal sales hype, which is opinion, and illegal misrepresentation or fraud, which involves false statements about material facts.
Exactly. Quick recap. Puffing, exaggeration, treated as opinion, generally non-binding. It only becomes illegal if it turns into a provable lie about something important, intended to deceive. Knowing that difference, that's how you ace this part of the exam.
It really is money on exam day. Listen, for more deep dives like this, tailored instruction, and to really make sure you nail these definitions and tons of others, check out our comprehensive exam prep course. You can find it at www.realestateexamscholar.com.
Definitely focus on understanding materiality and intentionality. It makes all the difference.
And maybe here's something to chew on tonight while you're studying. We talked about the legal line, but think about this. Where exactly does puffing end and intentional fraud begin in the agent's mind? Not just legally, but ethically. That little gray area between an honest mistake about something important and deliberate deception, that's worth thinking about more as you prepare. Good luck with the studying, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.